promises his Obamacare replacement will provide insurance for everybody. That's a quote. But are congressional Republicans all on board? Avik Roy is the president of the Foundation for Research on Equal Opportunity. You know, it's so interesting. If you go back and you look at the direct quotes from Trump, he talks about the president, pardon me. He talks about how they'll be beautifully covered, but everyone will continue to be covered. Republicans, though, a little worried about making that happen, no?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the plans that Republican members of Congress and members of the Senate have put out, they don't meet that test of covering everybody necessarily. And so there's going to be a lot of back and forth. I think a lot of people in Congress aren't taking the president's rhetoric on this seriously, not realizing that he's been saying this for years.
Yeah.
He wrote a book in 2000, The America We Deserve, where he said, I want everybody to have health insurance. I'm a Republican on most issues, but on this one, I'm a little different. I want everyone to have health insurance. So he's been talking about this for a long time. He talked about it on the campaign. He's talking about it now. And I think if Republicans in Congress say, well, we're just going to pass whatever we want, he'll sign it because he's not that concerned about policy, I think he's going to tell him something very different than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, too, because in other interviews he had said, you know, his plan is all but done. He knows exactly how to do it, to repeal and replace in one step. Could he dismantle Obamacare on his own, at least with the insurance mandate? I think we have a list there of how he might be able to do that. Can you explain it to us?
Yeah, there are certain things. I mean, Obamacare is about 2,500 pages of law, and then it's 20,000 pages of regulations. So there's the individual mandate. How do you enforce it? Who do you apply it to? Who's exempted from it, for example? There are all these instructions in the law of Obamacare as to how the insurance plans must be designed. They have to cover maternity coverage. They have to cover mental health services. Well, exactly how do you define that? That's up to the Department of Health and Human Services, and the president can give instructions in that regard. So he can't exactly dismantle Obamacare on his own, but he can certainly roll back some of the regulations that have driven premiums up so much. I would say about, let's call it 5% of the law can be rolled back through executive action, but the other 95% is going to have to be repealed and replaced by an act of Congress. And one other thing, Melissa, is that you really can't fully replace Obamacare unless you get something over a filibuster, which means you have to get 60 votes in the Senate. That involves getting Democrats involved, and that's something Republicans haven't even started thinking about.
Well, it's going to be very interesting to watch, that is for sure. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Melissa.